So you've probably heard the saying, time heals all wounds, but it isn't true. And today I'm going to explain to you why it isn't true, and not only that it isn't true, but how it actually can work against you in your healing process. And for those of you who are new here, first I want to introduce myself. My name is Ketra Thompson, and I'm a certified master hypnotist, and I'm also a coach. So what I do for my clients is, with the hypnotherapy process, I help them go all the way back to what's driving their unwanted behavior or feeling or life pattern, help them reframe that subconsciously, and then I also include the coaching process to help them progress forward when they're finally feeling in this new way of being. So once they've dealt with the old issue, they're finally feeling different, and it's a little bit of uncharted territory. And so it's very helpful to have the coaching process in implementing this new way of being. So if you'd like to learn more about that, check out the link in the description below. You can check that all out on my website. You can set up a free consultation call so that we can talk, we can get to the root of what's going on with you. I can help get you some clarity, and we can decide if we're a good fit to work together. So you'll want to check that out, and also you'll want to hit like and subscribe so you can be notified every time I post a new video. So let's look at why this isn't true, why time does not heal all wounds. The thing is, our brain is always looking for evidence to prove what it believes to be true. And because our belief system is created basically in two ways, when we're young and we're building this subconscious belief system that becomes our core beliefs, and then it's added to by our life experiences, then our brain is looking for proof that those belief systems that were created at that time are actually true. And so if, let's say, you were born into and living in a place that was just war-torn. It was constant war all the time, 24 hours a day, you were living in a war zone. You wouldn't actually know that there was any other way to live, because your life experience would have taught you that this is what daily life is. And so if you were plucked out of that and put into another scenario where there wasn't war going on, your nervous system would still be on high alert. You would still be looking for these things that were happening in this war zone to be happening, and you would believe that it was going to keep happening any minute. And so our life experiences are very similar to that. Our life experiences color the way we see the world. It's like putting on a different shade of glasses every time we have a profound experience. So because our brain works this way, it's actually sort of not working in our favor. It's like experience becomes the enemy of our ability to see possibilities. We automatically, without even knowing it, subconsciously make assumptions about people and situations and ourselves that aren't necessarily true because we're basing it on past experience. So when you talk to a kid, they're pretty easy for them to say, like, anything's possible. I can be anything. I can do anything. I can fly to the moon. I can whatever. And it's not that they're wrong. It's that they haven't had the life experiences that tell them that, no, that's not possible, because they've failed. And so failure is one of those things where we can really learn from failure, and we can understand more of what we don't want, which helps us understand more of what we do want if we're conscious of it. But for most of our life, when we're young, we're really not conscious of how we frame things. And sometimes even as an adult, we're not conscious of it either. And so our brain says, well, this didn't work out for you in the past. How could it possibly work out for you in the future? So let me give you some examples. Let's say you had a terrible experience in a divorce situation, and you now say that you don't believe that all women, all men, all whatever are like this, but there's a subconscious belief underneath that that does believe it. And it usually comes out in the comments that you make to other people, or when you're assessing someone else's marriage situation. You'll hear these comments that come out, and it's really the subconscious belief system that's saying, oh yeah, well, if you do this, then you know they're going to do that, and that's, the way it is. All men do this, all women do that. And you create a belief system based around your experience instead of stepping back from your experience and taking a bigger worldview where you realize that no, that doesn't happen for everyone, and that there are really successful, happy marriages, and that there are functional ways to be together, or there are successful relationships. You can say it in your conscious mind, but you're not believing it in your subconscious mind, if that makes sense. So what you're doing is you're replaying the narrative you've created about the old situation or experience, and as you're replaying that in your mind, you're cementing it into place. Your subconscious mind doesn't really know the difference between reality and imagination. And so the more you replay that tape over and over in your mind, you are reaffirming the belief. And let's be honest, you can ask multiple people who witness the same thing for an account, and you're never going to get the same story because everyone's viewpoint is already tainted by their childhood experiences, by their belief system, by their point of view in what happened. And so when you're doing this for yourself, you're actually limiting yourself from the possibility that things can be different, that people can be different, that you can be different, that new relationships can be different, that you have the ability to create a new job situation. All of it becomes more limited and more tainted by your past experiences. And this is why time does not heal wounds. So the reality is intentionality heals wounds. Intentionally reframing those things, changing the narrative and the story around it, and intentionally freeing your belief system in your subconscious mind to imagine something new. So you've probably heard that old saying that not only does time heal old wounds, but you've also heard practice makes perfect. And it is not true. Practice makes permanent. What you practice, not only in the physical way, like if you're practicing playing a sport, but also what you practice in your mind. And it's interesting, when my youngest son was little and he was going to play football for a program called Grid Kids when they're really quite young, I wasn't a big fan of how the coaches were with these kids. These kids were 7 years old. And I talked to a friend of mine who was a very successful high school coach who had a son the same age. And he said to me, "Oh, I won't let my son play for these coaches because if he wants to play later in life when he is in high school, I'm going to have to undo all the bad coaching that he receives from these untrained coaches." And that really stuck with me because that is exactly what I'm talking about. Practice makes permanent. And when you practice something the wrong way, that becomes the way that you do it. And when you think of something the wrong way, that becomes cemented in your mind, really creating a more inflexible way to view the world and yourself and people and relationships and opportunities. And it limits your ability to see possibilities. Because the reality is there's never usually one or two or three options to navigate a situation. There is infinite possibilities, but we limit ourselves to something that we can fathom as being probable. And that is not always the case. So when you want to have something new in your life, when you want to succeed in your business in a new way, when you want to have a relationship that functions differently, then it becomes this battle against your subconscious mind. And you're battling internally with yourself constantly, and you end up just repeating the old patterns because your subconscious mind drives over 95% of everything you think, feel, and do, but you don't have easy access to it. It requires a lot of repetition, which doesn't always work when willpower runs out. And the fastest way to affect the subconscious mind is hypnosis, because it actually allows you access into there so you can reframe those thoughts, which is what I do with my clients every single day. So today I want to give you a couple things you can do on your own starting today so that you can actually bring yourself more awareness and start the process of moving in the direction that you want to move. Because you don't want to live your life with all of this old crap getting in the way of you creating what you want. So, first of all, I want you to write out what you want. What is the kind of life you want? How do you want to feel in that life? What kind of love do you want? What kind of connections do you want? What kind of hobbies do you want? What kind of job do you want? Whatever it is, I want you to write it out, and then I want you to pay very close attention as you write those things down to the pushback that you're feeling inside. Because there will be pushback. There will be a story or a narrative that comes up in your mind as you are writing that out that goes, you can't do that. That's never going to work for you. That's stupid. You don't know anyone who's been able to succeed like that. Why would anyone do that with you? Why would anyone want that with you? And you're going to notice these things coming up, and then I want you to write out what those are, what those limiting beliefs are, because those are the narratives that are running the show behind the scenes, and they're keeping you from seeing all the possibilities that are really out there, and they're keeping you from healing the wounds that you have that you're expecting time to heal, and they're really not. So once you have those narratives and those stories identified, you can start actively telling yourself the truth. You tell yourself what the real truth is. The truth is, even if I don't know someone who's accomplished that, doesn't mean that I can't accomplish it. Just because I haven't met someone doesn't mean they don't exist. Just because I haven't experienced it doesn't mean I can't learn how to experience it or have this type of relationship. That anything's possible. You start changing the narrative, and you actually start looking for times in your life where you have succeeded in small ways, because then you're reaffirming those things and letting your focus be on the positive. This is really important. So you're shifting the narrative, rewrite that narrative, and tell yourself the truth when you notice these coming up. That's a huge step in the right direction. So once you've reframed all of those things with the truth, with the actual possibilities, then you're well on your way to where you want to go. Now the next step is implementation. So you start taking small steps toward the thing that you want, proving to your mind that you can change, that you can do things different, that you can change your opinion and viewpoint. This sometimes can be frustrating because you're fighting against yourself in the process, and that's where custom hypnotherapy is really amazing. So when you do a custom hypnotherapy process, you're doing a process just for you, just for your situation, just for your struggles, so that you can actually go back and reframe those limiting beliefs that are driving the behavior you don't want or the feelings you don't want, reframe them and move yourself into a different place mentally. And this is so profound because the work is on the subconscious level, whereas most other work, regular talk therapy, which is great by the way, but it works on the conscious level. And so you're talking about something, you are learning about it, you're having more awareness, but you don't always necessarily feel better. And that's because all that information is stuck in the conscious mind and doesn't have access to the subconscious mind. So in the hypnotherapy process, we have access to the subconscious mind, and we can create real traction for you, real momentum, so that you can feel that shift. Instead of it being such a micro shift that it's almost undetectable, it becomes a big shift in your life. So once you're feeling better and optimistic and moving toward your goals, then I can help you with implementing all of the new strategies and steps to help create more momentum and help you be more effective. So if you want to learn more about that, again, check out that link in the description. You can learn all about that there, and I'd love to have a totally complimentary consultation call with you just so that we can get you some more clarity and we can see if we're a good fit to work together, because nobody wants to sit there feeling the same way forever, never addressing the issue year after year after year. You can put your focus on the other people around you and how they should change and this should happen and that should happen, but all change has to start with you. And when you change the energy you're emitting, when you change the way you function in the world, it affects everyone else who interacts with you. They cannot help but interact with you differently or really push back on these changes so that they even remove themselves from your life easier. Either way, It's helping you be the most authentic version of you, connected to your self-worth, in a place where you actually want to be. So I would encourage you to take some steps to make that happen instead of doing the same thing over and over and getting the same results. It's worth it. You have one life, and you want to live that life in a way that makes you feel good, that makes you feel like you're thriving and is actually meeting your needs. So again, a little recap. Write down what you actually want. Notice the thoughts that are coming up when you write it down. Notice the pushback, the negative thoughts. Write those down and then reframe them with the truth, an optimistic truth, and start focusing on those small successes in your life that you probably are overlooking so that you can shift your focus to the positive. And if you'd like to have more help than that and go deeply on a subconscious level, set up that consultation call. Until next time, I hope you curate a life by your own design.